Olivia, I just want to read for the audience the tweet that she was just talking about. It was Donald Trump tweeting at 2:24 p.m. when the Capitol was under violent attack, and that was being televised, and he was watching it. He tweeted, "Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth." And so Donald Trump further endangered Mike Pence's life with that tweet. And what Cassidy Hutchinson seems to be saying is, she knew that tweet was further endangerment of the vice president.
Yeah, and I can only imagine in the moment what she must have been feeling. This is someone who served loyally in the Trump administration. I worked with her. She was a critical figure in the West Wing. And look, she's young. She came to Washington to serve. And you can disagree with the politics. You can disagree with the fact that she served in the Trump administration or for other Republican leaders of our country. But the fact of the matter is, there she is in the moment, and she sees this tweet, and she sees what is happening, and is processing it in real time and thinking to herself, here I am trying to serve my country. And she knows Mike Pence. She knows the office. She sat right near the former vice president's office all the time. We worked very closely with her. Everybody knows Cassidy Hutchinson if he served in the Trump administration. She was Mark Meadows' right-hand person. And to sit there and say, and for her to sit there and process that, and I could feel the emotion in her voice. I was there at the hearing today in support of her, watching her go through this on her own as she stood there testifying. I can only imagine that she is still processing that today, because it's hard to hear, because it's hard to believe that anyone who is a leader of the United States of America would put their own vice president's life in danger and then escalate it with a tweet, fully knowing what was already developing, fully knowing the threats that were coming, and fully knowing on the lead up to January 6th of what was going to develop that day, and then he encourages it.
We just heard her say that it felt personal. I was really sad. As an American, I was disgusted. Who is she? America is meeting her today in a stunning encounter on television, the likes of which no one has ever witnessed before on television. What can you tell us about this person who we are all meeting in this strange way today?
Yeah, look, she was a staffer in the West Wing. She served very loyally. She was Mark Meadows' right-hand person. She was a gatekeeper at times. She was a well-known entity in the Trump administration. And I'm watching people try to disparage her. I'm watching people mischaracterize her role. They're trying to demean her. They're trying to disparage her name. But the reality is that if you worked in the Trump administration, and especially in the West Wing or on the White House grounds, you know Cassidy Hutchinson. And she was loyal, and she was a public servant, first and foremost. I know Cassidy's character. She took great pride in serving in the people's house. That is who Cassidy Hutchinson is. And you may disagree with what she supported in the policies there while serving as part of the Trump administration, but she's an American, and she's a patriot. And I hope the American people understand that today, because what she did today, it takes great courage. And she knows the vitriol that will come, because she was on the inside watching me when I came forward. And I'm sure she heard it all of what they said about me, and that the security concerns that she's facing today, that's not going to fade. That's going to follow her for quite some time. Her life is forever changed.
I was struck by the dynamic between her and Liz Cheney, and thinking, knowing her biography, that she worked in the House before the White House. She served on Steve Scalise's staff in the House as an intern, just starting out. And I'm just imagining a young Republican staffer, woman in the House who's just arrived. She had been an intern in Washington before, but there she was. And in those movements through those hallways of the House, I would suspect that the person she admired the most, who she was seeing in those hallways and hearing in those hallways and possibly encountering here and there, was Liz Cheney. from that side of the aisle in the House of Representatives. And I wonder if anyone else could have brought out this testimony as effectively as Liz Cheney, and possibly could anyone else have made this particular witness as comfortable and ready to deliver that testimony?
That's a great point. And I've got to be honest with you, as I sat in the room and I watched Liz Cheney ask her the questions, I thought that that was so powerful, because these are two conservative Republican women. And that is a Republican leader just asking her questions, asking her to testify to facts and the truth. And these are two women who've stood strong in the face of their own party, who is going to continue to trash them and who is going to continue to try to undermine their work. But the fact of the matter is, you can't undermine Liz Cheney in terms of conservatism. And you can't really undermine Cassidy, who worked for Scalise, who worked for Ted Cruz. Most of these Republican congressional people know her. They know her by name. She's walked those halls in Congress. And so it was just such an important moment, I think. And I think you're absolutely correct that only Liz Cheney could put her at ease and say, all you've got to do is, you're telling the truth. And we know what this was. Those of us who have been in the circle have lived it. But incredibly powerful to give her the opportunity, to give her the microphone and stand with her and get her through it. And that was incredibly powerful and moving. That's partially why I showed up at the hearing today. I mean, mostly actually, it's 100% why. Because I wanted Cassidy to know that those of us who have been there, we're there for her. She's not alone, and it's going to be a very lonely place for her.